Welcome to Rules of Villainy, episode 44, and we're live. No, actually, is it episode 44 or is it episode 45?
44.
I think it's 44. It is 44. Where four new trading card game players quest and challenge their way to competitive top tables and recap this afternoon's flurry of news and answer your questions. I'm Villain Vince, joined as always by Villain Andy, the mayor of Lorcana Brad, and special guest, but my friend and yours, villainous Kirsten. How we doing? It's been quite a news day today.
Yeah, you made the joke before we started. Huh? Slow news day, huh? Chuckle, chuckle. No, we got so much. Woo! It's exciting, man. I'm so glad we could do this to talk about it. I've been wanting to talk about it all day, and yeah, woof. I don't even know where to begin. I know where to begin. Jaflurple is shaping up to be a real good deck, don't you think, Andy?
No, I don't think, Brad.
Jaflurple. That's a nice little play on the fact that if you haven't caught, we did a live stream at Grapes Games on Sunday. I was gonna say yesterday because it feels like I've been nonstop Lorcana over the past few days, but it was actually over for like almost 48 hours ago, although we were still casting 48 hours ago. So but you should absolutely check that video out. It has been time-stamped, a lot of great matches, and our good friend and teammate Ace took down that final tournament. And unfortunately, I'm so sorry, villainous Kirsten, you couldn't reclaim your championship for back-to-back. But that's hard. That's harder than it looks.
Look,
You got close.
It's my own fault, so nobody to blame but myself. It's
Yeah.
okay.
All
I
right.
had a rocky road too. I started off strong and just so couldn't even make the top cut.
Okay.
We did have a lot of really great guest casters. So we had Travis from Rudros, and then we also, who will be on the main stage, I believe, later this week, potentially.
Friday.
And then
Yep.
Friday. And so you should absolutely tune in and catch that. We also had a national qualifying member, Justin Ward, was a guest caster as well. And we had some kids on the cast as well. Link made a guest appearance, and Mikey made a guest appearance as well. So we had a lot of great experiences, and I hope you go check that out. But we got a lot of news, We're here to recap the Twitch stream today from Ravensburger, Disney Lorcana. Lots of news packed in, and I know some of this may not be new because we did see last week there were some leaks, but as I said last week, we don't talk about Bruno, okay? We wanted to see the full production as it happened, to respect the team members there at Ravensburger and the folks that put all this hard work together, and man, was it worth the wait. Because man, they started right out the gate with that fun live intro. Honestly, we were talking about in our own Discord, like whether it was live or like they pre-recorded it and like cut perfectly.
I don't know.
It was amazing. Yeah, we were halfway through it, and everybody was like, "This is pre-recorded," and I'm like, "Oh, is it?" Like, I don't know for certain. I would feel like it has to have been, but it's transitioned so smoothly. I loved it.
So funny enough, I did go like down the Reddit rabbit hole and check the materials that we will not talk about, the Bruno materials. They were wearing the exact same clothes.
I know.
And they were just like, Adam, what's real?
Oh, you mean no? I thought you meant the transition today. I was like, they even choreographed the.
Oh no, I was talking about even but anyway, what I have to say is, what'd you all think of the talk show format? I thought that was really cool. It felt
was cute.
It was so much fun.
It was really neat. I think they need to do it on a weekend now. Like, especially if these are pre-recorded. If this was pre-recorded, then why couldn't this have come out on like Saturday or Sunday or something like that? I mean, I guess part of it is not pre-recorded, but man, they got all these main stages coming up, and they're gonna talk to the developers and the artists and I got a job.
Listen, I love you, Andy, but here's like, you just can't please anybody, right? We don't get enough information. Now it's too much. Now it's not the right time. Now,
I-
you just can't satisfy anybody here in the
No,
community, can you?
I do sympathize because I believe somebody else spoke up in one of the communication channels somewhere that like I didn't prepare for 3 hours worth of it, right? Like I did know going into it at 9 o'clock Pacific, it was going to be a pre-show. 10 o'clock was going to be when the announcement started. Okay, but then there was an after show where they kind of more went in, answering more in-depth questions about why, or maybe not necessarily why, but just more things that they didn't address on the recording itself. So next time I know to be prepared to have that much time set aside for it, because I kept wanting to go back to the things I should have been doing. And I was like, oh, there's more. And I'm not complaining. I'm happy to have all of this after months of not having anything, right? But just something to take note of for next time. If we're going to do it again on a Tuesday, I need to set more time aside for what they're giving us.
In fairness, I will say they kept most of the major announcements in that 1 hour block.
Oh, sure.
And so if you just reserve that, and they kept pretty close to that 1 hour time frame. I think they were only like a few minutes or almost right on the hour, which is more than I can say for our regular podcast sometimes. So kudos to them and their new studio setup. But let's get into some of the news. So I'll start off. I took notes kind of as we were doing the watching it. So we're gonna kind of talk about this in the order that they talked about them on the cast, because I think that just makes sense for us here. But I think some of the lighter news here is that we're expanding the community of Lorcana. Lorcana has been announced officially now in Brazil. So for our Portuguese listeners out there, and I think we have some South American listeners of the rules of Villainy, which thank you so much. There's going to be more product in South America, particularly Brazil, in Portuguese, and also they didn't talk about exactly where, but in Asia in general. So I think that's pretty cool. We're expanding the overall network. But they did talk a little bit about, they talked a lot about Fabled. So we got more in Fabled information before we got Return of, Reign of Jafar. Thank you.
Return of Jafar, Vince, huh?
Reign of Jafar.
Yeah, we got Return of Jafar in like 1995.
Arcasia's
You're way past that.
Phenomenal movie. So they talked about Fabled. So it's going to release on August 29th. It's going to be its pre-release in LGS stores near you, and then wide release September 5th. So much like Reign of Jafar, there will only be a week between pre-release and then it goes into big box stores, which is a change for how things have been all the way up to Arcasia's Island, when we've had this 2-week gap between LGS release and wide release. But we're having special kind of pre-release, so we'll get a special pre-release promo for that. But we also got this Fabled collector set. So it's a binder with 4 packs and a Tinkerbell giant fairy promo. And for those that are going to listen to this on Spotify, Kirsten is pointing to the back, her big Tinkerbell giant banner that you see at LGS stores. Kirsten, you want to tell us a little bit about how you acquired that? And there's also one behind Andy too, a particular Lorcana.
Money. Too much money. No. Yeah, at the Grapes tournament that we did, unfortunately, as Brad, I think, mentioned in a previous podcast episode, they unfortunately are having to close shop. So to kind of give back to the community and help themselves, I think, a little bit, they did an auction for the banners. So we got the opportunity to kind of outbid our friends, and that was kind of fun. We were giving each other stare downs and looking at each other and fighting over these banners, but it was really fun. I'm glad I was able to get the ones that I wanted. Andy just let me do what I want, so thank you, babe.
Yeah, the one behind Andy, which is the metal sign, you'll outbid me by $5.
Look, I told Andy going into it, I'm like, as long as they're reasonable priced, like, I'm gonna go for those 2 things.
Yeah.
I didn't bid on any.
You and
of
I have very
them.
different ideas about what is reasonably priced.
I didn't think any of those were going to go for those prices. I knew after the first one, they did the Elsa first, and then how high that one got. I go, yeah, I'm not getting anything today. I wanted the Mickey, and of course, everybody wanted the Mickey, and I think that was the last one they did, and I didn't even try.
I think Justin ended up getting the Mickey, right?
Yeah, he got the red and blue. Yeah,
Oh, he got
that's
both.
his
Okay.
colors.
I couldn't remember. When I say reasonable price, I mean like what they go for, like on eBay or something, because they do obviously have some listed on eBay and things like that. So we were checking the Tink banner ahead of time just to kind of get an average.
What does the Tink banner go for on eBay?
I think it was close to $300.
Jeez.
They all
I
go
thought
for a
at the
lot. They're not
beginning,
easy
like
to
in set
find.
4, when those came out, all of those you could get them on eBay for like $300 as a package. But maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe I misunderstood the
found
eBay
one-
listings when I looked. But
Andy found a
Well-
listing, I think, when we were checking for all of them, and it was like $1,200 for all
Yeah.
of them.
That
yeah,
is
no, thank you.
New
Wild.
cards.
Yeah. So
The game piece.
being able to get the sign, which is obviously a really nice quality piece of, collectorability, whatever words, item that I collect on my wall. Good quality. I like it.
Sure.
All right. So also getting into some of the reprints here that we're going to get in Fabled. So a lot of news in Fabled, and that's why they started out with it. So the first thing is we know we're getting that giant Tink. We're also getting the Stitch Rockstar, and we're also getting a Winnie the Pooh Honey Wizard new enchanted full art card. Which is, I mean, honestly, pretty gorgeous.
It is amazing. And if you look really closely at the classifications, they added honey. Don't know what that is.
Yeah.
HUNNY.
And why? Yeah, I don't know if that's going to ever matter or if it's just a cute little cosmetic thing that they put on there because it's such a great card. But that really had me perplexed. Like, what could that possibly mean?
It's got to be an errata, right? Because the original one doesn't have that, so that would make it a different card. And if they're saying you could play with the old one, then you gotta take into account that basically, they've changed the card and then reprinted it. But
Interesting, yeah.
I mean, Honey Wizard is clearly a popularity reprint, right? That card
Absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
just a
They've been
vanilla card. The Enchanted is the same deal. Like, this is just like everybody wants that card. And
They've
loves
been
the
milking it for the last several
Well,
sets with the sleeves and the play mat and the deck boxes. Like, they know as soon as they saw that. I remember they said on one of the live streams in the past that as soon as they got presented this piece of art on the original one, like, we knew this was special. And I don't blame them for throwing that on everything. And it makes perfect sense that a card like this would get the Enchanted treatment later on because it's it's such a fun card.
Well, because the artists don't know what card they are putting, like for game mechanics, they're putting it on, right? They obviously they know they're getting a Honey Wizard, but they don't know what the mechanic of the card is going to be.
I think sometimes they do. I think I've heard they said that, like, they'll sometimes know that it's about, like, they'll get maybe the name of the ability, or like, it's supposed to be like a strong character. It's going to have, extra strength or something. It's going to be strength based. I think they'll get some of those notes as they're like,
well, they get a brief, but I don't think they don't know. And also, like, the game goes through evolutions by the time they get the art and it goes out as they play test and stuff. So I think obviously they get a brief to do the art, but I don't think they really get an idea necessarily that the card is going to be, meta defining or whatever, right? Like, they don't
you could put the card, you build the art, they pick the art. This is an early card, so they presumably were picking this before the game even released, right? That they found this artwork, and you could have put that on a card. You could have made it part of the bounce package or something, right? You could have, given it some
give Ravensburger some leeway here, given the fact that, like, when you think about lead times of production and getting things together and stuff, like, I think you would love to get a piece of artwork like this and put this on an amazing card, but I think they were like, you know what, it doesn't matter. because we're gonna, like as Brad said, we're gonna put this on everything. It's gonna be on sleeves. It's gonna be on boxes. It's gonna be
We're
on.
gonna put this in
it's
my
like a
binder.
play mats. We're gonna, and now we're gonna reprint it and we're gonna make it an enchanted. And I'll bet one day this becomes like an iconic a card as well or something. Spoiler.
Iconic. What? Yeah. What is iconic, Vince?
Well, wait, before we move on to that, you missed one that's getting reprinted.
Oh, what's that one?
Oh,
Kirsten?
yeah.
Yeah, the best
Which
one
one?
of them all. The
Let's hear it.
Maleficent Enchanted.
Let's
The Drunken
go!
one. Because they finally made her one.
Yes. I had to look back and see what episode it was. Episode 5 of Rules of Villainy. It was Kirsten's first appearance on here, and we titled it, as she said multiple times throughout the episode, or mainly in the Villain of the Week segment, of her favorite, the Maleficent Dragon, who also has a Rule of Villainy on her, that she should have been an Enchanted. And then almost, I guess, 8 months later, because this was back in August, we got it. And it's exciting. It's a set champ promo for set 9, I would believe, the Fabled set.
Yeah.
And looks beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
So,
trying to get as
you-
many.
We've had people
Yeah.
reach out on Twitter when it was announced today and say, we thought of you guys when this was announced because of Kirsten's love for it and all of us talking about it throughout, the course of Rules of Villainy. It was an ongoing thing. Should have been an Enchanted. So,
Enchanted Kim, in fact, is in the chat, and she just said, "Finally,
finally."
which
I mean, she's my
100%.
favorite villain, and I literally picked my jersey number because it's her
The 9th
rule
rule of villainy.
I mean,
Yep.
come on,
That's
gotta
what mine
have an
is, too.
enchanted dragon.
I really do like, again, we're gonna get this participant. We're gonna get this for the set champs in set 9 for Fabled. So we're still a long way off before set champs for that set. So we got a lot of time to get down and practice for that, and there'll be a whole new meta too, because as a spoiler, we'll get into set rotation coming, which is why I think they really front loaded to talk about Fabled before they talked about Reign of Jafar. But one thing I wanted to note is that this breaks the hero villain format of the set champs, and I'm kind of curious of what you all think of that.
Well, I
Oh,
don't
God.
think it.
I want my.
I don't think it does. Because last time we had, wait, who was the last one? Last one was Scar. You're right. For some reason, I thought the last one was Mirabelle.
Scar, hero, and then we're gonna have Jafar.
Jafar, then Maleficent. Yeah,
Not sure.
I don't know.
Well, I
Maybe
assume
we'll learn
Jafar.
more.
We haven't actually seen.
That's true.
No, we have.
No, we've all just assumed.
We have. It was actually, you know what? Believe it or not, I think that was one of the things in the post show is that when Greg showed the Jafar from the next set, Rochelle said you forgot to show that this is the set champ card as well, and showed the alternate art on the post show. So
I guess I didn't
the
see that.
Jafar, yeah, the Jafar that is not newly crowned. I forget the title off the top of my head. Maybe we have it here in the show notes. Also is going to be the set championship, or maybe I'm just completely wrong.
No,
but I'm
I mean,
High
certain that's what I
Sultan of
heard.
Lorcana.
High Sultan of Lorcana. Yes, that
Ah.
should be the set championship card as well.
Another one of
Okay.
those cards that really good if you can get it to do its thing, but does nothing until then.
So one thing though we do know about the reprints, right? And we'll get into set rotation here in a second. Is the reprints are identical from their original first chapter card. So
No, Vince, no. In the bottom left-hand corner,
No,
there's
no,
a number
okay, no,
9
no,
instead
no,
of a number
no.
1. All
Just
right,
gonna,
you take that back. You take that
stop
back.
you
There's a
right
number
there.
9 back there. Okay?
The art is identical. Okay, the art
yeah,
is
That
identical.
number 9 is part of the art, Vince. It's on the card. You're gonna pay big bucks for the number 1 versus the number 9. 20 years from now, this is the
Right.
difference between base
guess that
set
does-
and like
yeah,
second edition, and yeah.
But this is actually, I think, probably my biggest gripe of this is that I think it's a total missed opportunity
Yeah.
to not have alt art for these cards.
Yeah,
I agree.
And I was really disappointed. Like I was just like, please let these be alt art
Except for
cards.
now, though, right?
Yes.
You think maybe that they just showed us like old versions of the card with the number 9 on it, but the art's actually going to be different? and we'll learn that later. That would be
No, I don't
I
think
don't
that's the
think so.
case. I think
could be.
I think what they said, because they said this, and we'll jump ahead here to the new rarities in the epic cards. This so these are the epic and iconic are two new rarities that are being introduced into Disney Lorcana in the foil slot that you have. And so the first one is epic, which will slot between the legendary and enchanted. So it'll be more common than an enchanted, but less common than a legendary. And I thought it was really interesting. They talked about that these are going to be the open air border cards of the enchanted style that we had in like the first few sets of Lorcana. And this is where they talked about that they're going to use existing art for now. So this artwork I think is pretty similar to what's actually on those cards, just given an enchanted, like an iconic now look, if you are
Right.
epic look, if you will now, but in the style of what the first chapter enchanteds were. But they said for now, and I think we're kind of gleaming from that for now is that they probably are going to do in the future more alternate artworks, and hopefully they'll do that for all of these different new cards coming out. And that would be my hope and stuff. I'm not a huge fan. Well, you know what? I'll stop talking. Tell me what your opinions are here.
I think the biggest problem for me is that like it really punishes me as someone who's been playing this game from the beginning. It means that I'm gonna open up these packs of Fabled that I buy, and I'm gonna end up with a lot of the exact same cards I already have. That's one of the reasons I stopped buying packs later in the set, is because I have all of these cards. I've opened enough of them, and I'm really just enchanted hunting. So like on the positive, yeah, there's these two new, rarity types. One that's ideally going to be a little more easy to find, maybe one a box or something like that in the epic. But I just kind of hurts to think that I'm going to open up a bunch of Stitch Rockstars that I already have 10,000 of, because it's an awesome card, but like the only difference is the number 9, and I'm going to be like, no big deal.
Yeah, I'm probably in the same boat. I've opened up way too many packs. Not as many as Andy, but enough that where it gets to a point every set where I'm like, I don't need to open it anymore. And I still do, but I'm trying to acknowledge my problem. And yeah, in an effort to just not repeat everything Andy said, I agree with Andy. There's just a lot of duplicates there that I don't need. I'll definitely put it in the binder as the one of for the set, but I don't know. Yeah.
Do you need help? Have you bought too much Lorcana?
Yeah, but we want these.
Well,
new
if you're
rarities,
doing so, that's
right?
If so,
yes.
buy singles, and you can go to partner.tcgplayer.com/ROV.
Look, I can make it blink on the screen. You guys really can't see that. But, all right. But yeah, the flip side though of that, like I said, is we get these new rarities, right? So like, if I'm getting one of these, in diet enchanteds, if you will, on every box or something. Plus, I'm also going to be hunting for, Vince said it, there's 2 of these rarities, right? We also have the iconic.
The iconic.
Which is past
Oh
enchanted.
my
So like costs even more pack openings, to try and find, presumably.
And this looks like
absolutely
this is going to be
incredible.
an entirely new card, Brave Little Prince. So BLP versus BLT. But it has some ability which we don't know. They blurred it out, so we're gonna have to find out later.
Nobody's run
in
that
the
through
future.
AI to see if they can unblur it.
But honestly, I think what the interesting fact about this one is that they talked about 3D hot stamps, which will add texture to the card. Do I know what a 3D hot stamp is? Have no idea. Not a clue.
It
But
sounds
it sounds cool.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome that they said.
But
there's
yeah, what they
going to
said,
be
there's. I'm sorry, Kirsten.
two. I was gonna say there's. I think it's awesome that there's gonna be two of these iconic cards per set.
Yeah,
Just
only two
two
to
of
chase,
them.
but if the
Woo!
enchanteds are, if the alleged 1 in 96, then who knows what the odds are of pulling one of these. They said there's only two of them per set. We know that this one is Mickey, and I think they very much
Minnie.
alluded to the other one being Minnie, right? From the
Yeah.
dual art. The art of these two together is absolutely beautiful, and what we love about this Fabled set from the beginning, which props to Vince. I think he was the only one who thought it was an entire set. At least I did. Maybe Andy did too, but I wanted to shout that out because we argued on multiple episodes whether or not it was going to be a set or some other game. But there's going to be 18 of the epic ones and 2 of the iconics, and it in that sense it does make it more exciting to open a box. Hopefully, it is 1 per box. But I forgot where I was going with that thought. But it's exciting. That art when they revealed that, I'm like I really want that Mickey, but the likelihood of getting that Mickey cheaply is going to be not good.
$5.99.
Well, I will say for me, I already know
$5.99.
that I'm probably
that?
not going to get it.
I said it's only going to cost $5.99. That's the price of
Yeah,
one pack,
a lot
friend.
of times, a lot of
Just
yeah.
one more pack.
A pack in a dream. A pack in a dream.
Pack in a dream.
Honestly, if you use your Target Circle though membership, 5% off, so it's
That's
actually
true.
less.
We're
Just
pinching
saying.
pennies here.
Yeah.
A lot of your LGSs might sell them for even cheaper than MSRP. So
Yeah,
check that
and
out.
I'll go there first. Yep.
Honestly.
Absolutely. But the reason why they're doing reprints, right, is because we're getting set rotation. And so what does that mean for folks? It just means that, and a lot of card games do this.
Means all your cards are worthless. Throw them away. Set them on fire. We'll wait. Come back. Okay.
Don't do that. Don't do that. All right.
Not gonna know that.
What ends up happening is most card games do this, is they want to keep the meta fresh. They want to allow entry points for new players. They want to make sure that the card pool doesn't get too big. And so there are a few ways card games handle this. One is you have just a huge ban list. So this is what Yu-Gi-Oh does. But most card games do rotation, where sets rotate out of the format and are no longer legal to play in competitive play. And so the way Lorcana will do this is that sets 1 through 4. So that's going to be the first chapter, Rise of Floodborn, Into the Inklands, and Ursula's Return will rotate out. They'll no longer be legal to play when the Fabled comes out. So when set 9 releases, those 4 will rotate out. However, like in all the card games that do this, any card that is reprinted will remain legal. So all your first chapter cards that we've been talking about here, the Stitch, Rockstar, even you got the Enchanted, or you got the set championships, or any of these promos that come out, you can still play those in when set 9. It doesn't matter. Those are still legal. And we've been talking about rotation coming into the format. I've always been, I think, on the side that I think it was going to happen sooner or later, and probably on the sooner side. And I know we've talked about this a lot, but now that it's happened, what are your thoughts?
It never bothered me. I'm new to this. I know there are a lot of people who are passionate about it not being good for the game. I don't see. I haven't experienced that to determine that for myself. If that is the case, I've always just been on the we'll cross that bridge when we get there train, and it's coming, and I will have probably more of an opinion of it when we get there. I'm just excited anytime a new set's dropping to get new cards, and ultimately, if I'm thinking about it a little bit further, having less of a pool to build from actually helps me out quite a bit, because the further we get into this, like the graphic shows 13 sets. We know sets are coming, at least 10 of them, and that the further we get away from set one, the more I don't think about those cards anymore, except the staples like the Rapunzels and the few cards that have lasted from set one until now, that will likely be in those rotations until they find something or a reason to be like, you know what, we got to take that out for a while. So I understand both sides from the both public and private conversations that you guys have had about it, but I don't have like a strong opinion on how it's going to affect the game so far. But maybe Andy or Kirsten does.
What about Kirsten? Because Andy and I have talked about this ad nauseum.
I'm kind of sad. Like, I don't really have any exposure to other games to really form a solid opinion because,
Mhm.
like, I'm basically in the same boat. Like, I'm just in the like, you do what you do what you need me to. Tell me what to do. I don't know. Like, if you say I have too many cards, that's cool. Like, that makes sense when I think about it. I'm like 13 sets times 204 cards each. That's too many
Too
cards
many
to
cards.
pick
Yeah.
from. I can barely pick from, the 12 cards in a pack when I'm doing freaking draft. You know, and that's just for one
Yay,
set.
wrong.
So, yeah, I don't really have an opinion. It makes sense to me. So I'm just like, okay, Ravensburger, I trust you. You tell me that this needs to happen. Cool, we'll do it.
All right, Andy, now to you, who has famously told me not on more than one occasion, I'm quitting the game if they announce rotation.
You're not allowed to quit the game.
Yeah, I think ultimately it's a choice, right? You say a lot of games do it. I mean, there's only really like 3 other games that have withstood any sort of test of time, and 2 of them do it to some extent. But without getting into like the discussion of like whether it was the right or the wrong decision, it's the decision that was done. Without having played, you don't have to have played any other card games to be able to just look at the situation that this puts you in. You are no longer going to be able to play competitively with, a good portion of your cards, and you're going to have to invest money in more cards, of which a portion of them are going to be cards you already own. So now you're spending, if you spend the same amount of money, there's a probability that you're going to get less new cards, right? You're going to get a bunch of cards you don't need, and this could potentially happen over and over and over again, right? And so that part kind of stinks, in my opinion. That's why I kind of wish rotation didn't happen. They said they're going to rotate every year, but I presume like on like a rolling rotation. So like just 4 drop off after every 4 new ones get added on. So
Yeah, that is kind of the insinuation that was made.
Yeah.
Which means that at any given time, 4 to 8 sets will be 5 to 8 sets will be legal at any given time.
Which is fine, but again, the biggest problem I have is that they already reprint most, like, if you think about it, we already essentially have reprints. But the fun and the way they hide it is that the 1 cost 2/2 goons is also a hey, it's also a every other character. They just make a bunch of different other characters. Now they're like literally just reprinting the same card. I mean, it was 1 and now it's a 9. You could probably just have like a team of people drawing like little circles next to the 1, and they can just reuse the old first chapter cards they have, right? Like they just found them dusty in a closet. But yeah, do I wish that maybe they had done something else or like held out longer before they rotated? Probably, but it is what it is. And I do think it's like healthy. Like like I said, it's an option. It's something is needed to keep the game healthy. And I'm with Brad. 5 sets is cool. 8 sets is cool. Like I kind of like the rotating aspect of it. Makes deck building more fun and rewarding. But,
So, let me ask you this:
see how it goes.
would you have preferred what would you? Obviously they've chosen to do rotation, right?
Right.
Would you have preferred a longer rotation, like say wait, next year at the same time do it? Like, so we have, basically 8 sets. Would you prefer as a new set comes in, one set leaves? Would you just prefer a whole ban list instead, a growing ban list? What would be
Yeah.
your preferred?
I think at least, I mean, we've seen 8, 7 different metas now, right? Arguably maybe 10 different metas if you consider, if we consider the like the smaller metas that existed after Bucky was errated and after Hiram was removed, and but I feel like just we had plenty of more time for the game to just continue growing and growing and adding more cards, slowly power creeping, banning cards that didn't work. Our ban list is 2 cards long. That's it. There's only 2 cards on it, so it feels like there was more room. And all of the people who I saw complaining that they wanted a rotation and saying, "Oh, I've played other card games. I want a rotation now. We need to get rid of all these other cards." A lot of it felt to me like wasn't a problem. Like, like my opinion in a lot of this stuff is they're like, "Oh, ban the bird." I don't think the bird is a problem. Ban Hiram. I didn't even really think Hiram and Fortisphere was a problem. Let him play out. But I don't.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I'm glad we got all this information. I loved the format it was in. I'm excited for the new stuff. And like I said, there'll be competitiveness to find in it for sure.
We do have a question in the chat from Dad Kana, which thank you for tuning in, Dad Kana, asking, do we feel the bigger impact cards will be reprinted? And if so, which ones do you not want to see?
Yeah, we're going to get to that here in a second. I want to
Okay.
close out this particular topic, but is that, I tend to agree with Andy here a little bit that I think probably we could have waited, on this a little bit longer. It does seem like we did, like Ryan Miller seemed like he was leaving like a door open in that comment. And maybe I'm reading too much into it, but it did seem like we're going to try this for now as the rotation schedule, but they might see as we move into this rotation, they may make adjustments to it. So it may not be all 4 dropout. They may change that cadence. We know what it's going to be for Fabled. So we do know that this first 4 that's for sure is happening, and what the plan is in year 3. But I think Ravensburger listens to the community overall really well and adapts as much as possible to how they do things. So I kind of agree with Andy that I think we probably could have waited a little bit long. I think Andy's real point here is that the fact that we only have 2 cards on our ban list right now kind of shows that there's room, I think, for the card pool to grow and before those sets go out. On the flip side, though, if I'm going to say what I think maybe the pros are for this, is that I think it's nice that if folks missed the first chapter craze, right? Like how hard it was to get first chapter products, how hard it is to get
rotation.
No, I totally get it, but I'm just I'm saying that I think like having this entry point where you have that, also like existing players, we don't necessarily maybe we don't have to buy as much, right? Like, we could, unless we're chasing all of those like chase cards and stuff. Like all us here, it really didn't matter whether or not there's going to be reprint or not. All of us here are going to buy product, right? Like we're addicted to the game. But I think for some folks, it's easy to be like, okay, well, I don't have to worry about buying a set 9 card, or maybe you're like, hey, you know what? I now some of these cards, and I don't keep track on what's in TCG Player as far as prices are, but maybe it reduces the cost of some of these cards and reduces the cost of some of these decks.
Partner.tcgplayer.com/ROV. I just blinked it on the screen. Sorry.
So
that was going to be a thing tonight.
So if I can try to find both sides of it, it's like, I think maybe I would have preferred them wait a little bit longer for rotation. I'm not surprised, kind of given what we thought was going to happen with Fabled and how they were saying it's going to be great for new and old players alike. It made sense that rotation was coming, and it was coming in Fabled. So I'm, like I said, I'm not really surprised given what they said, and now with the news that we have. But I tend to agree with Andy that we probably could have waited a little bit longer and have a larger card pool. But with that, let's answer Dad Kana's question here.
Would you like me to repeat it?
No, well, yeah, we can repeat it.
Okay.
I don't know if Andy
sorry,
can put it up on screen too. I know I'd asked, but I'm not sure if we have that capability.
I will read it while he's looking into that. Do we feel like bigger impact cards will be reprinted? And if so, which ones do you not want to see?
Do you want to take a first crack at that, Brad?
Well, I wasn't prepared to. Which one do I not want to see from like what the first? What are we expecting the first? Well, at least the first two sets, because we know that Rockstar and Honey Wizard are coming. The manor.
Manor, you said? McDuck Manor?
Look, okay, I know everybody's
Kirsten
gonna say
did, yeah,
probably
yeah.
Diablo, like because that's the most annoying one. Diablo or B Prep or A Whole New World. But the more I like think about it, the more I really kind of like those staple cards because it makes it more of a challenge.
Yeah, I don't know how to answer the question because I'm so used to the game as it exists today that I can't imagine any of the cards not being in it, right? Like for whatever reason, my first thought went to the Spectacular Singer Ariel, but I'm like, that just completely nukes Steel Song, right? I mean, there's other options on 3 for stuff, but it doesn't look for 4 songs when you play it. But it would force a Steel Song player, which I mean, if there's any deck that has a card that is a must in that deck, it is the 1-drop Cindy or the 3-drop Ariel, and you take away either of those, presumably the Ariel since she's been around longer. You have to, if you want to play a Steel Song deck, you have to build it completely different now because you're not finding your songs as quicker unless there's something in the new set that has that ability to do that. But yeah, I just don't know much about rotation. My mind isn't working in a way that that allows me to think of a card I don't want to see be reprinted, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, to answer this question, although given that I'm an RA player most of the time, I would love, and I play Sapphire Ruby as well. But I think a spicy answer for me would be Maui Hero to All.
Oh,
But it's Maui time.
yeah.
Could you imagine though if that card isn't in the game?
I guess you're running that Rush Hercules now.
I don't know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You might see like more interesting cards. That's like, you know, you have to have some sort of rush mechanics and stuff. I do feel like I would be very surprised if they don't reprint Be Prepared. Like, it is kind of a staple of the game to have a board wipe, and I'd be very surprised if that isn't reprinted in Fabled or not, like quickly reprinted in like a
alternate art. Give me alternate art. I would love that.
Will they bring Hiram back, but he draws only one?
I don't know.
Just like we had in the app that one time.
Yeah.
I think what I would
Fabled card.
I think what I would prefer them do versus reprint a card like, because that's essentially our errata, right? I think I'd rather them just create a whole new card that does that, right?
Yeah.
And stuff. And we just let Hiram, my
did.
boy,
make his toys in the infinity mode, you know? Like
yeah, so Missy Enchanted says, be prepared, Enchanted. Oh,
yes.
Look,
yes,
I begged
please.
for my set 1 Enchanted that I wanted, and I got it. I can ask for no more.
I would take an Enchanted Scar from set 2, the Nicholas Cole one. It's still my favorite art in the game. Yeah, I mean, we asked for.
I used my Genie Wish.
Yeah, we asked for things on this podcast, and we get them. We got the World State, we got the Maleficent Dragon. Now I want a Vicious Cheater Enchanted.
Where's Jock?
Yeah. All right,
or Jock. Where is Jock? We're still on Scotty Watch.
It's not happening, Brad. It's not happening.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
What about you, Andy and Kirsten? What do you think is a card that you would not want to see reprinted?
I definitely have to agree with Dad Kana here. PJ Prince John can definitely go collect taxes somewhere else. How about that?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Award is impressive.
That actually makes sense too. Instead of banning the card, just rotate it out.
Yeah.
People have been complaining about that card for a long time. The long way.
Well, as Andy has said long times, rotations are essentially just giant ban lists anyway.
Yeah.
Huge ban list, and
Well,
It-
they're not banless because you can do that in the Infinity thing. But
right,
the
but
banned
Sure.
cards won't be able to be
but
played
you can
legally
also
for
just
those.
they say they're going to maintain 2 ban lists for that, but I mean, if they're rotating cards out, then that makes the need for bans much less. Like they have to make a much bigger oopsie before they need to make a ban, because if it's a small enough oopsie, then they, it just goes away in a year, right? But um, it the they say there's going to be ban lists for both of them, but that seems very difficult to like maintain for both. And you could also just do the same thing without rotating out, right? You can just say like, okay, DLC play, these cards are banned, but you don't have to subscribe to that ban list at your LGS. No one is stopping you. No one's stopping you from playing Hiram at your
Well-
LGS.
I feel like also that
not
multiple
that
ban lists is just going to confuse the player, especially the new players too. Oh, is this card playable? It's the whole issue with Bucky again too. If they, you know, which version of Bucky can I play now? Like which one in?
Yeah.
I mean, that's an errata though, but I don't know. I feel like as you were just talking in that point there, I'm like, oh wow, multiple ban lists is going to absolutely confuse somebody when they want to come play this version and realize they can't with what they expected to play with, but they can come play this, which they weren't prepared for. I don't know.
I don't think it'll be that big of a deal. And I'm gonna say this right now: the Infinity format. I think they're gonna have a hard time. I think we're gonna have a hard time supporting that format
Say
in
they're gonna have the
conjunction
DLCs though.
with. Yeah, they did say they're gonna support it in DLCs and side events, but I think I think that's going to be. Sorry, Kirsten, go ahead.
So on the Infinity format topic, I think that's going to be more. I think it's going to be less competitive, and it's going to be more so for the people that want to build like a themed deck. Because the best way to build a theme deck is when you have 13 sets of cards to choose from for a Sleeping Beauty deck or whatever. Those more fun type of a puppy deck. You know what I mean? Because I think, yeah, I just think that it's not going to be meant for the competitive players, because the competitive players are always going to do whatever the competitive scene is. And if that's going to be, oh, you can't play those sets of cards, they're never going to pick those sets of cards up. They're just
So,
not, because it's not beneficial to them.
I hate to break it to you, but I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case. I hope that is the case, and I think
Okay.
that's what they're trying to be. So I've only played I've only played Commander in Magic the Gathering maybe like 5 times or so. But my understanding is that in Commander, where like basically everything is legal and allowed to be played, tons and tons of broken cards from way back throughout the day, what ends up happening is you get a portion of people who do what you say, Kirsten. They want to play fun, interesting, cool decks with all these cards from all over time. And then you get people who are just like, oh, this is legal in this format. This is super, super broken. I'm just going to instantly win. And they have just like hyper competitive decks because they're able to play with a lot of cards that have been rotated out. And because Ravensburger's game developers and things are developing the card game for 5 to 8 set competitive blocks specifically, they don't put as much thought into, okay, well, once this card rotates out and gets added in with the 10,000 other cards that we have from the past 20 sets, will it all of a sudden just be super hyper broken? And so I hope that's the case, but I'm pretty sure in like the casual Commander format, you get a lot of, flipped tables because someone brings their like 2-turn victory Commander deck to someone who brought their, puppies Commander deck.
Sure, maybe on like a weekly league basis, but I'm saying that the competitive players aren't going to spend their time doing that,
Right.
because
You're right.
there's no value in doing that.
Certainly. No, I agree with that. You're right. The most competitive players are going to want to play the most competitive format and stuff, but I don't think Infinity format will end up becoming a casual format. I think what you'll find is people who maybe don't have as much time or willpower to keep up with the current format and try and stay incredibly competitive in it will realize that, oh, I can just go play a bunch of broken stuff and smash on some puppy noobs at League or whatever.
Well, going back to this whole the ban list here, one thing I want to say is that I think we will have. The reason why I don't think it'll be so confusing for players is because what I think we'll see, as Andy's alluded to, is we'll have very few bans in the competitive format. And then in the Infinity format, there'll be a growing list of banned cards. And one thing they did say, though, in the Twitch stream is that if there are no bans, they're not trying hard enough, right? And kind of like, sure, if like players trying hard enough or the designers playing hard enough, and Infinity will have its own kind of ban list. So, going back to this kind of an Infinity format, we've heard a lot that, a lot of leagues are, they get 5 to 10 people and some get more people. What do we think this does, though, to like having 2 formats now for leagues and for LGSs?
It's tough.
I wonder if, depending on the size of the crowd, which we know that the sizes around here, I can't speak for everywhere, where we hear about, 16, 30 people leagues sometimes. We average, I don't know, most nights, 10 to 12 any given place. My first thought is, do they just come in and decide what they're playing that night? Or do they decide a week ahead of time? Or are both firing? Are 2 different things happening? I don't know.
I think it
That's
would have to
a
be
good question.
a separate
Or-
event on a separate day of the
Yeah.
week kind of thing, where like
But then you split your crowd, right?
they're
Like,
not going to be the same people.
yeah.
If Bodox has if they have 2 different events, whether it's on the same day or not, and one's competitive, like real decks that are just for that set rotation, and one that's Infinity, I'm going to the set rotation one. I'm not going to the Infinity one.
So sorry, S. Holland, you missed it. Remember the rules of Villainy. It's over here. Sorry.
Andy is checking out of the rotation talk. No, thank you for joining, Steven. We're kind of in the middle of the rotation talk right now.
The Infinity format, I think, is gonna it's really just gonna be up to the LGS, right? They can have like Kirsten said, one day you can do Infinity, one day you can do core constructed, and really it depends on what you want to do. I'm sure there'll be plenty of people who go to both, right? A lot of stores used to have a casual night and a competitive night. Sometimes they couldn't, fill both nights, and so they did something else. But I think ultimately the biggest thing I see, the missed opportunity, or not missed opportunity, but the detriment to the community that I see is that like a place like Game Night, like that Brad and Vince here run, they have people who are brand new and have never played the game come in and play the gateway, and they have people who are going to DLCs and Continentals even there practicing and testing. And I'm sure you can still just say bring whatever and do whatever you want, but now you're just further segment. There's just more options, and only so many people can fit into so many options, right? Like if you have 10 people there, half of them are there for this and half of them are there for that, and now you've got a third of them are here for this, a third of them are here for that, a third of them are there for this, and you divide them up, and they say, okay, well, and you might have some stores switch to Infinity because they have a more casual crowd, and their crowd says, well, I want Infinity. But as they said, DLCs, set champs are all going to be core constructed. So, the more casual leagues that have a hard time competing in some of these set champs because there's all these competitive players, we're not really helping bridge the gap between the more casual player and the more competitive player. We want to try and help everyone get better at this game together, but it's interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah, I'm just, as a person that helps Brad really carries the Game Night League, but also runs, another league in our area. I just see that I think it's going to be a challenge to get to have support for both at this stage of the game. So I think LGSs are going to, unless they have really thriving crowds, which I know there are LGSs out there. And man, if you're doing it, let me know how you're doing it, please. But I think it's, game stores are going to have to choose one, one or the over the other, or at least prioritize one over the other, in order to have like a healthy kind of meta. So before we go on, we do have a question here, from S Holland 561. If we are in a rotation for a full year, set 5, 6, 7, 8, does this make buying set 9, 10, and 11 kind of moot until 12 comes out? No, is my answer.
It depends if you want to play then or not. I mean, but yeah, not really, right? You play if you want to continue playing set 9 and 10 and 11.
Yeah, because new cards are going to come out, right? It's not like Fabled isn't a full reprint of cards. They're going to be totally new cards, potentially new mechanics. We don't know. Like we got a really high level of what Fabled looks like, and I really think they front loaded Fabled again to tell us about set rotation to get us prepared for it. But I think at the high level and stuff, yeah, it makes, I'm still gonna buy the next sets coming out and stuff. I mean, honestly, I guess if I would say, if anything, it maybe makes me less excited for Narina Jafar and more excited for Fabled. But it's just, my own personal preference.
Yeah, I think they did it that way because the next 2-3 weeks as we lead up to Jafar, we're going to be getting so much Jafar news probably on a daily basis. I think they already released the content creator reveals showing like for the next week, every day we're going to be seeing new cards. And that's just the creators. That's not the media outlets that have them too, right? So it made sense to start with the big changes that are coming and then, closing out with Jafar because that's all we're going to see from here on out.
Yeah. So moving on, before we kind of get into the reign of Jafar, I want to talk a little bit about Worlds. So we did talk about this in our podcast, but they talked a little bit about more here that the World Championship is going to be on June 28th and 29th, the top 28 people. And I wouldn't say we got a real reason for why this happened, but they wanted to kind of recalibrate, expectations, I think, for their own team, for the community, and they wanted it to have focus on the players and have a VIP experience. I want to talk about it, but first, I do want to say congratulations to this awesome, fantastic broadcast team we got here. Yeah. We've got Rebecca of Rebecca Quests, JD of JDZ Quest, who is on the Twitch stream today, Brandon B Square 24, who does have the 1 of 1 Rules of Villainy bucket hat.
Yeah.
And we got Liam from the Illumineers. And actually, a lot of these folks you're going to be able to watch right after us at 8 o'clock. They're doing their own live stream, which I encourage you to go watch. They do a great, fantastic content creator. And of course, we have Baker of Lorcana Villain.
Lordian. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. I also can't bring up the the chats on this particular screen that we're on. But they say that an article came out explains why it's closed worlds. I just want to say that my dog won't stop barking, and also that is a generous statement to say. I think they gave us more information than they obviously could let on in the live stream that we had, but they did go into it in the live stream. It felt to me like they said, we just decided, right? Like, we changed our mind. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? You changed your mind? All those promises, like, it wasn't even like the venue was closed on the day we wanted. Like, but in the article, they do basically just say that, like, they pulled all their resources. They did everything they could. They got in a room multiple times and they tried, and essentially they got to a point where they just said, "Look, this isn't going to happen, is it? We can't do it, right? There's no way." And so they essentially just had to scoop on doing Worlds to the public. They just said it's over. And so
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I think we basically got the answer, which is that they didn't have the team to do it, right? Like
they
they
tried. Just too much.
I mean, a lot of the folks, if you read that article, were like, like I wasn't even employed by Ravensburger
Yeah.
when they announced all this stuff at D23, right? You know, the reporters asking them about things about D23, like the quest events that they talked about, and they're like, we're going back to the drawing board on a lot of these things. I that was before my time at Ravensburger, and we've readdressed it. I think we've seen, right, like we've got good concrete evidence from seeing their new office space in Seattle, that they're a growing team and that they are really trying to figure out how to do it. And they listed out in that article the steps of who they're hiring to support some of this competitive play stuff.
You didn't hear, Vince, that whole thing was pre-recorded and it was shot in a giant warehouse with a bunch of green screens, basically like the movie 300. Yeah, that's fake. Ravensburger is run by 3 people in a WeWork space outside of somewhere in South Dakota, Boise, South Dakota.
Okay, it's Idaho.
That's Idaho. Yeah,
Idaho. In South Dakota, Vince. There's a Boise in South Dakota. It's population 374, 3 of which run the entire company of Ravensburger out of a warehouse with a bunch of green screens.
Listen,
Lorcana
it's still really
theory.
What?
It's still really disappointing that Worlds isn't public, right? Like I'm I give Ravensburger a lot of leeway here, but I really, I think a lot of folks had plans to go to Worlds and chose not to do things like the North American NACC instead, and decide they were like,
yes, we know that was
well, it was you too. Like I think
it was all of us. It was literally all of us.
Although, actually, I honestly think Kirsten would have ditched you to go to NACC, been like, you're on your own.
Yeah.
The wedding.
Yeah.
They don't have
your sister.
They don't have Wawa in California.
Yeah.
So.
I still have those Cinderella pins that I didn't get.
I know. It's the one pin on my board
eBay.
that's missing.
Mine too now.
Oh,
eBay.
you mean this one? No, I'm just kidding. I don't have it.
I was gonna be like, how did you get it, sir?
I know.
Not with how much it costs in a wedding coming up, but we talked about it a little bit last week in depth when Greg did that pretty much an emergency impromptu to prevent everybody from getting out there and getting their reservations and everything when they got the date unfortunately leaked to them. But I like to think, I don't have any prior knowledge or anything, I like to think that they had a plan and just things fell through, right? I don't think they would get on that big stage in front of hundreds of people. I don't know how many people are D23, thousands probably, but there's different booths and everything. Regardless of the number, going out there and announcing that and saying, hey, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, tells me that they had a plan, and then something happened, and we saw a lot of people get hired on and turn things around, and then we know that I don't want to say working with this, but just the logistics of working with Disney, and they're, to me, is like, that is probably a nightmare because there's so many people in and out of there all the time, and adding all the people who we touched on earlier in this episode, that the amount of people that just want to go to Lorcana. Like we flooded Atlanta. Like they had it capped at 512 when they announced it, and 2,000 people end up showing up to play in the main event, and however many 100 or 1,000 people more in the side events, right? There is a large community. I don't think they expected as large coming into playing these games and hitting these events, and it sucks. It's really sucks that we can't go there and celebrate this, because it sounded like it was going to be a big celebration of the event. They even said in the streams today that's what it was supposed to be. And I hope that, in the year to come, as they hopefully do this yearly, they figure out how to make that happen for us, because we as the community have been wanting that for so long.
I think it's important to note, right, for folks that are new to Disney because of Lorcana and not new to Disney from previous. A lot of people should take D23 for an aspiration of what Disney wants to do and not what will be done, because Disney consistently as a whole will announce things at D23 that never come to fruition.
Disney
Or if
didn't
they do
announce
come to
this.
fruition, come to
Ravensburger.
fruition 10 years from now. Yeah, but this is still a Disney game,
It
right?
was
This is
Ryan
Disney.
and Rochelle, and they were all there.
But those
telling-
announcements,
But this is
but
a
those
Disney.
announcements have to
I
be
don't thi-
approved, right?
This
Yeah,
thing-
this
I
is
don't
a
think this has
Disney-
anything to do with Disney. I think this was
This is a
just an
Dis-
unfortunate
no,
case of biting off more than you can chew. They tried to.
Maybe.
They had these
Maybe.
plans for things, and like Brad said, the game is just
Uh,
massive, and they
my
couldn't get
point
it
is-
all done in time.
I just think we should always I say this as a Star Wars fan because Star Wars does this with their conventions with the thing they'll announce movies and then they never come to fruition. And the Disney does the same thing at D23. So you go to these big events and you think, oh, I'm gonna get the news, and they don't come.
I better get on that same day they announced Incredibles 3, and I better get that movie. I'm already bummed, Worlds just that sucks. If I don't get Incredibles 3,
I'm
my
more
release
worried
check.
about
Mhm.
the Villain Land because
Yeah,
they also
Villain.
announced that there,
That's
and
a
I don't
big-
care
yeah.
about screw Incredibles 3. Give
Hey,
me the
hey!
Disney Villains Land in Disney World. Fight your own battles. I get us things. I get my stuff done. You're still waiting on Jock.
He's coming. We're on Scotty watch.
Wow.
Mm,
Shots fired.
that's true. It hurts every time.
But
Call Winston
Yeah.
here to console me.
I don't want to get into it here, but because I think we'll learn more over the next coming weeks and stuff. But there is some stuff going on about the logistics behind the scene with Ravensburger and PPG as well, who's been running these events. I know the CEO, one of the project managers, was on with the Forbidden Mountain Dan the other day talking about some other events that PPG is putting on, and it's not clear whether or not PPG is involved in setting up Worlds, or what the relationship there is going forward. So I think there's still some information we just don't know about the logistics there. So we've talked a lot about the broadcast team. The real most disappointing thing here, though, I think is we all want to get this whole new world promo, right? Looks gorgeous.
No, I thought
we
we
got
were on
to see
Scotty watch. Sorry,
Big, giant card.
I got Jock up on the screen.
Yeah, Scotty watch.
Sorry,
Sorry, Vince.
Your
Uh,
your dog has the same problem my dog has, Brad, in that they're a dark, a void
black, all black.
of
Yep.
no color. They
yeah,
they don't show up well on cameras.
kind of the
Sure.
same with my cat.
Yeah.
But
Well, anyway, while the dog's still on the screen, join our Discord. We also have rules of villainy
The
channel.
drools
We
of villainy.
do
We
have
want to
Drools of
see
Share
Villainy.
your
all
pets
your
with
pets.
us. Look at our lovely pets. We love pets. Come share them. I want to see. all
I was actually, it's funny, while we're talking about pets, I took a photo. I should put it in Drools of Villainy, but my cat was watching some history videos on YouTube, and he was really interested, and I was like, oh no, he's going down the history YouTube rabbit hole. I'm gonna end up with an alt-right kitty. I don't love that.
Or he's just going to realize that the cats used to be worshipped, and he's going to be like, "Hey, now listen, I
he
run the
already
department
gets
now."
worshipped here. Like this, the boy doesn't pay a cent in rent, and you think he works 70-hour week. All right. But we got this whole new world promo, and it does look like we are going to be able to access this promo in other ways. We don't know all the details about it yet, but it does look like we're going to be able to get it. How excited are all of you to get
I'm
this
really
promo,
excited.
man?
I'm a full-on Steel Song player now, baby. I need all of them.
You are. And man, if you go back and watch our video of the Grapes game tournament where I am screaming because you top decked a whole new world when you need it. And imagine if it was this promo
We're
card.
all screaming
Oh,
though.
so
Me
beautiful.
and Britt. I'm not good at a poker face, and especially when I'm playing with like I'm a friend, you know. It's even harder to be like, I can't contain this excitement, you know what I mean? So we were both just like, you've got to be kidding. We all got loud. We heard you in the room, and then everybody ran over to the table.
I was like, oh my God, I could not contain it. It was so great. It does look like we're going to know more details about the next set champs. Well, not next set champs. I'm sorry. Next set of challenges and on this live stream. That's what they seem to imply quite a bit and outright said that they will announce more of the set. So I keep saying set championships, the Disney Lorcana challenges for the new season, and that they're going to align these going forward in conjunction with set rotation. So it does seem like we are getting, or at least I took it that it was almost 100%. We're getting more DLCs this year, which I'm hyped. I'm hyped.
I'm ready.
I don't know about year. I'd like to think like in the sense of positivity and hopefulness that yes, it is this year, this fall, perhaps.
All right, so are you challenging this? Is it like our Quester
is this
challenge?
Quester challenge?
You're gonna challenge?
No, I'm not gonna challenge it. But I was simply going to say I do agree. That's exactly what they implied, is that at Worlds, which I think is the right time to do it. Why announce the next circuit when we're supposed to be building up to Worlds, right? There's a lot of things I think that they can look at or they can do differently, and they'll learn from all of this for the next time. But I think you crown your champion, and during that or right after that, you let everybody know, hey, here's what the next circuit looks like. Get prepared. We are ready to steamroll this, through and get players playing this game competitively again, so they can experience all the fun and magic that we had this past year.
So I'm questing it, and I'll tell you why I'm questing that is because I think we have to get DLCs this year, because it seems like what they're implying they're going to do, at least, kind of reading between a few news things, is they're going to announce new seasons every year around set rotation, so we know what the thing is going to be. So we're looking like they're going to kick off around set 9, a new set of challenges that's going to run and conclude roughly at the exact same time we get this Worlds, maybe a little bit later, and then they'll announce the new set of DLCs. And so I think they got to get that going fast. Like they've got to really introduce. We have Megan in our chat saying that I hope they do a lot more DLCs, like 20 a year instead of 5.
Not my wallet.
I heard
bring one to St.
year.
Louis. Yeah. Yeah.
I think Vince quested on that because he got insider information from Dagkana in chat, who says, quote, later this year. He heard that. But
yeah, if that's what it was.
I heard it. I heard it later this year too. But okay. We'll see. We'll see. One thing I did want to say though is I know there's been some talk about the broadcast team, about a particular missing broadcaster, which I know is Andy and Villain Vince not being on the World Championship broadcast. And you're right. I'm so sorry. We just didn't make the cut. We actually had some availability issues that particular day. No, what are you talking about? We would have freed our calendar if we got available. No, what I'll say about this real quick is that one, I think they selected a fantastic team. There are lots of great casters out there. So many to choose from. And I'll bet they rotate through some of your favorite casters in the future too.
Why are we addressing this like it's an actual thing? that we didn't get chosen
No.
as casters. They
I
didn't even
was
pick
joking.
Spessy.
I was joking. That's what I was talking about. I was saying,
let me. This is what I'll just say about this. And then you
no,
like
no. Hold
said
on.
like it was a real topic that we needed to address to the public. Like, you know what? I will just have this one very serious moment with you guys that they will probably rotate us in. I know that you guys are all very deeply.
What are you doing? I was making a joke about the fact that people in the live stream were commenting where's Spessy at. That's the premise of the joke here. Why I was saying us instead of other casters.
I was on
being
you
out
there, and until you were like,
chill.
Until you like addressed it like it was a real issue. I was like, does he actually think we got overlooked for casting here?
Yes, I do actually. Thank you very much. I feel very confident in my casting ability. No, I think I think they'll rotate creators in there. See, we have our fans. We have our fans.
Andy's not one of them, apparently.
He's not a fan of us anyway. You should see how much trouble he gives us in our own show prep channel. Anything else? Do we have any other questions in the chat, Brad, that you think we should address?
Nothing at the moment. We did have Steven. Steven asked, what cards are you happy to see go away with rotation? What cards are you sad to see never get their time in the sun? What does this do? The broom deck, puppy deck is a little late. We did talk about that. One of the main, he popped in late, but yeah, one of the questions, what card do we not want to see, which was hard enough for me to answer, and they named off a few like Maui and such, but this will be available again on the audio format and a replay here on YouTube if you want to check out that conversation when we get to I'll timestamp it for you. Yeah.
All right. So we're going to move on to the Reign of Jafar.
Yeah.
So the set that's actually coming out in just a few weeks here, it will pre-release on May 30th. It'll be everywhere June 6th. So get it at your LGS on May 30th. The first thing they talked about, though, was the Illumineers Quest Palace Heist. And y'all, it's in a box. It's in a box.
Box 2025.
So
let's go.
The amount of people that were so pumped about the fact that it was in a box, me being one of them.
I can put my deck in a box.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, you got multiple boxes. You got a box to put the game in and boxes to put your decks in. It's like box inception. Very.
Hey, I made that joke already. God.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
I'm joking.
But yeah, the quality of the materials there is
cardboard,
real great.
Not even paper now.
Cardboard, no paper. Yeah. The deck boxes, the deck to be able to put it on your shelf. I'm super pumped about it. Definitely gonna pick this up.
Request. I've said it in the live stream. I said it in the Discord. I'll say it here, and I will send it to the moon. Reprint. I will gladly pay for Ursula's Deep Trouble again if you reprint it with this format, all the stuff, because it's currently sitting in an Ursula's Return Trove box. The playmat is just long enough to fold in there, so it's really annoying, and it doesn't feel good because I use my Trove boxes for all my cards, and I'm like, oh, there's Ursula's Request or Ursula's Deep Trouble too. But if I could put it like on a shelf next to this one, or just have it for easy stowaway, it just looks so much nicer. And the fact that this one is coming in a box like that made me so irrationally excited that like you would think that it was the prime news story from today's news, because I was so happy to see that.
Honestly, definitely one of the things I'm most excited for. And I have like the OCD, so I would love to put them on the shelf together. And so I'm with you. I want to reprint, or at least just sell me the box.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Take my money.
Yeah,
$60 for this board game. I think
we have no idea how much this is going to cost.
I thought they said it was going to cost $60.
I think it's 60. I think that's confirmed, and I don't agree with the price. I don't agree with the price. I wish it would come down to like 40 or so, because it is fun to play. At least Deep Trouble was, but I haven't touched it since Ursula's Return, and I would like to.
Minimal replayability. So I mean, let me say this: there's always the possibility that I'm wrong here, that they could have improved this even beyond it. But if it is just a Jafar themed version, basically, of the Ursula one, which I think we've seen some of the cards from it already, right? In some of the articles, 3 of them.
Yep.
And I mean, like, one of them is like each person banishes a location or an item. Pretty sure they had basically that same thing, in the Ursula one. And so it's like,
Yeah.
if it's just kind of this reskin of the Ursula one for $60, like, obviously I'm going to buy it. Like, you could have just asked me for $60. Like, if you're really that hard up for money, Ravensburger, like, I got $60 for you, but the box makes me not unhappy to buy it. Like, I love that it's in the box, but I'm definitely not dropping $60 for the old version to put it in a box. I'll just stick it in this box alongside Jafar after I play it once and then probably never play it again.
I wonder.
It also doesn't do much to bring new people in, right? Like, I mean, you might know this more, Brad, but like, do you ever use Ursula's Return to try and be like, here, let me teach you how to play the game? Like, this is a good learning mechanic.
I kind of did at one point. One night when I was waiting at game night for people to show up, back when Keisha was still playing, she saw me playing it, and I kind of explained to her the mechanics of the game, because it's a really easy way to explain the mechanics, like what you're trying to do, Yes, and this was before the Gateway came out too, which would have been a much better. It is the Gateway product to teach the game, but I think when you're showing somebody the challenging mechanic and the questing and all this stuff, it does help a little bit. But I go back to the fact that like I was only playing it because I was there by myself and I couldn't play Lorcana by myself, so I don't know. I wonder, what I was going to say was, if this actually allows the game to be like put in the toy aisle or the board game aisle, as opposed to the Ursula's Return, because Kirsten, I believe, bought extras one time to help the community who was looking for them, and Target wouldn't take them back because it's considered trading cards, right? So maybe now this is just a full-fledged board game, but it does still have trading card stuff within it. So I don't know.
Yeah,
That's, I think, my point here, Brad, is like, I think this is the way to get folks from board game to trading card game, and also just having an alternate play thing. I really like them, but that's because I'm a board game guy, and so I think this is I think it's a lot of fun, and so I'm really excited about it. I view this in the same way that I view the expansions to Villainous, right? Which is that, like, do I need the next expansion? Can I play the game as is? Absolutely. But does this bring like a new flavor to the game to play? Absolutely. But I think I think the way they're positioning this is to get it into the game board aisle, because they sell the Gateway product in the board game aisle now as well. So I think this will, now that it's in a box, it kind of looks like a Villainous product too. So I think it's going to hopefully bring in new folks, but it's absolutely something I really enjoy as well.
So, like, I wonder if we could find, maybe like two people out of the box can play it against Jafar. I wonder if we could find 2 of our friends that have not played Lorcana and give them this box and see if they can treat it like a board game, because it really feels to me like you can't. I don't remember. It's been so long since I played the Ursula's Return thing, but are there even instructions in there to tell you how to play the basic game of Lorcana?
Very elaborate instructions too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you could have 0 Lorcana experience, pick this up as if it were just a board game, play it all the way through, and then, realize, okay, well, there's 1,000 other cards that I could build decks with, and then I could play against real people instead of this, fake player here. Okay.
Well, I think it's designed from that like co-op space, right? And I'm a big fan of cooperative games in general. And I really like the kind of the social aspect of it. It's one of the reasons why one thing I think that's still a missed opportunity in Lorcana together is the absence of more support for multiplayer in this, because I really love that format of the game. We do it a lot at the league I play at, because we don't get a ton of players a lot. So in order to incorporate folks to play, having multiplayer is great. So having this kind of cooperative play is kind of adjacent to that multiplayer function of the game. And so I'm super stoked about this product. And honestly, I'll tell you what, I think that what I'll say, I think there's a difference between the gateway product and this product in their target, right? So like the gateway product is meant for folks that want to really get into the TCGs of Lorcana and want to learn how to play. The Illumineers quest I view as a person who likes game boards, doesn't really know much about TCGs except for they exist, sees this as a board game, plays it, and then gets interested in the TCG. So they're kind of coming from two different directions to the ultimate same product. Because if you're playing the gateway, you're playing against a person, where in this you've got the pre-constructed decks already that you can just shuffle and play, and you're learning across from the table from somebody else. And then you're like, you know what, this is great. We beat her, we beat Ursula, or we beat Jafar on easy. Let's try hard. Oh no, we can't do hard because we got to go buy packs and stuff. And I will say, I think probably the biggest miss of both the gateway product and this product is that they don't include like 1 or 2 packs of cards in the game, just to give folks that reward of like, this is what a pack looks like.
Probably can't be in the board game aisle then, if it has the packs. But
yeah, that's what it is. You're right.
I think it shouldn't, and like if it incentivizes you to go buy packs to try and beat Ursula on medium or hard, like that's drumming up interest, and that's gaining sales, and that's like certainly a path someone could take. But that's not really like converting them into, a Lorcana player who's going to go to leagues and build competitive decks and play in DLCs, or not competitive decks and, go to DLCs and play in side events and things like that. There's at least not currently like a, Jafar's quest, Illumineers quest side event, tournament or whatever, like who can beat Jafar on hard the fastest.
Right, but that's not meant for that, right? It's just the same way you don't have a gateway competitive event, right? It's meant to be its own standalone product. I will question, though, I'm not entirely sure that that's right, why it can't be in the board game aisle, because the quest should come with a very specific prize promo card.
Yeah, but a Villainous can come with a promo card. Lots of things can come with a promo item. And in fact, the Gateway does come with Disney Lorcana cards. The difference is the randomness of it. I believe when it has the random factor of it, it's considered a gambling type thing. Not gambling, but because it's like a random blind box type deal, it's part of that TCG. Whereas they can categorize this as a board game because it has a specific non-dynamic set of components and pieces to it. It's probably one of those technicality things, like how the original Nintendo called itself an entertainment system, Nintendo Entertainment System, NES, so that they could be with the VCRs and the like record players and stuff, like the VCRs.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's such a niche way to argue things, because like we're going down the rabbit hole, so I don't want to go too far into this. But that what is the difference between, say, a Lorcana pack of Lorcana, right, as a trading card game, and an expansion for, say, something like Cards Against Humanity?
Which Cards Against Humanity is a set. Yeah, it's just a set list of cards that are always the same in every pack. Or every
they're
box.
the same cards in every pack.
Yep, probably in the same order too.
And that's not
while the TCGs are just randomized packs of cards.
And it's not to say that you can't have random stuff. Kirsten buys her Doorables and her Munchlikins and all the little Disney sums and things in the toy aisle, but I'd be willing to bet it's something to do with like shelf space and SKU and stuff. And if you can give it to Target, the other thing might be with distributors, right? We already know about how like the MJ Holdings and those companies have like 90% of all the TCGs in Walmarts and Targets. So the product at the front of your Target or Walmart isn't actually owned by Target or Walmart. It's owned by this third-party distribution company, and so that's why you can't do returns on them and things like that. So perhaps Ravensburger can get this without the random cards in it. They can classify it as a board game, and now perhaps the profits go directly to Ravensburger and can skip this sort of TCG middleman or something.
Interesting.
There's probably
way
All right, we're now in logistics of Villainy.
It's
Podcast.
How did we get it? Yeah. But
all right, so
yeah.
let's get into.
Vince just got square.
His
Yeah,
video went funny.
Square Vince.
Square Vince. So we need two close Vince.
Uh-oh.
I don't know. All right. Well, this is the breaks of doing it live. We can still hear you, right?
We get letterbox.
Yeah, you can still hear
it's
me,
fine.
right?
It's just letterbox
Yep.
now. He's just like
we're like the
letterbox.
brand new widescreen TVs,
Yeah.
and you're still like the box TV.
We're turning it
I
on.
hope we
so
don't
we can.
entirely. Yeah.
I'll just disappear for a second, and you can hear me.
Someone fired the king.
This is live, y'all. This is how this works.
While he's doing that, I can move us back over. I've got a bunch of buttons here for cards to talk about, so I'll just bring one of them up and we'll talk about it.
He's
Like
normal again.
Aladdin.
We can proceed with the cards, but Vince, your video's good now.
Yeah, you're good.
Aladdin, Vigilant Guard. 6 cost, 1/9 bodyguard. Whenever one of your ally characters quests, you may move up to 2 damage from this character. Remove up to 2 damage from this character.
I'm ready
pretty
to
crazy.
build a spicy ally deck.
I know. I've been saying that since the new Jasmine came out in Arcasia's Island, where she Maid Marian as well. There's so much ally synergy right now, and as Justin, one of our locals, pointed out though too, as we were talking about today though, with rotation we lose like the best 2-drop ally that we get with Mr. Smee. But I'm sure we'll find something else.
Are you sure about that?
I guess I'm not. I guess he could be reprinted, but assuming that he's not, I don't know. But between this, the new Jasmine, the current Jasmine, even the Hey, there's just so much ally support here that I'm really, really excited about.
All the possibilities.
And this is one of the new OP kit promos, and so it will have that red treatment there, safe passage, and the lore icon. Get a little red foiling on it. But you said Jasmine, which
we know that red foiling is because they want it to be thematic with Reign of Jafar.
Correct.
Agreed.
Which I think is really cool.
And you mentioned Jasmine.
Cool.
I think you were talking about this one, right? The
yes,
steady strategist.
Yes.
Shift 2.
Steady strategist.
Whenever this character quests, look at the top 3 cards of your deck. You may reveal an ally character card and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order.
But then paired with the Jasmine that we already have from this set. I don't know if you have that geared up to show on the thing, but I can read it to you here in just a second. It's my fault for not bringing it to your attention ahead of time. But the current Jasmine is a 5-cost inkable 3/5 that quests for 2, and whenever this character quests, if you have no cards in your hand, draw a card for each ally character you have in play. It seems like they're doing a lot of ally synergy in these couple sets and the sets to come. So I'm really curious to see how the rest of the set fleshes out and if we can actually build around that, because this card was interesting to me. I haven't built around it yet, and I'm seeing these cards be revealed today. That seems like this is the path they want to go with Blue Steel, or want to encourage you to try. So
Maid Marian as well in this set.
Yep.
Whenever an ally is damaged, you may deal 1 damage to an opposing character or to a character, something like that.
But we also have an enchanted of this card too.
Yes, we do.
So pretty.
It is very pretty.
Ooh, it's so pretty. It's got the Raja like shimmery ghost
Raja.
in the back. Oh, I want it so bad.
It's got like the little like sand kind of thematic. I'm digging it. I really like it.
Whoa, Jimmy. Jimmy here
Jimmy
says,
popping in.
how do you feel about over half being reprints? Is this confirmed? Did you talk to like Steve or
So-
Ryan?
Did you talk to Mr. Ravensburger? Because I haven't heard that.
If over half of them are reprints, I'm gonna be over 0.5% sad every time I buy a pack.
Here's what Jimmy's referencing. From the official Discord, there was a question asked, or a quote asked, from one of the articles saying, for the first rotation, Fabled will be used to reprint some cards from the first 4 sets. More than half of Fable will contain previously released cards with all of their original art, stats, and abilities. And they link to thegamer.com, which I'll try to get that link to throw into the chat. And they asked if this is true. And then Greg Tito, who we saw on the stream today, answered, it's a big set, is all he said.
But
So does that mean there's going to be 200?
Oh, so that means there's going to be more cards, I wonder?
no,
No.
because we saw Fabled cards that had numbers on them that corresponded to 204, didn't we? Pretty sure. Because we saw the
We can look at-
iconic cards and the epic cards, and their numbering indicated that it was...
Yeah, just looking at the cards
oh,
that
the
we have in the
Stitch,
show prep right now.
the
shows
big stitch
204.
they had that had the number 9 at the bottom, it was still out of 204, and then the epic, I think it goes epic, enchanted, iconic,
Yes.
in the like numbering. So
Well, the
yeah, I
iconic
agree,
goes to
Steven.
242.
The
That's
iconic is number 242, right? So, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it's still out of 204. So epic, iconic, and enchanted are all still above the 204, right? That's how we have it currently. Enchanteds are 205 out of 204 or whatever. So
Yeah. Seems
Yeah.
like there's got
I
some
don't know.
more explaining to do. This is all real time. We
Yeah,
weren't
we'll
prepared for
definitely-
this question. But yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah. I
Well,
don't know. I
so
don't.
actually, hold on. That's probably a bad set to do. Let's take a look. So
yeah.
right now there are 222 cards. So if we add 18, that would give us 240 plus 2 would be 242 in the set.
Well,
So,
then you got
yeah.
the actual enchanted as well.
Right, that was with the
What's
actual
that?
enchantments.
That's
that was with the
actual.
actual.
222
So there's
is with the actual
204,
enchantments, yeah.
222 with actual enchantments plus 18 or the epic edition cards because we know there's 18 per set, and then 2 iconic. That's 242.
Really?
Hmm.
What was Stitch over 204? Yeah, he said Stitch was over 204 though. But he meant was. Jimmy says was Stitch over 204. Okay. Yeah, I thought I saw when that was chat was popping off and that was happening. I thought someone say that it showed out of 204 and that Stitch was under 204, so he was just a regular card, which I mean, it's too late. These cards are probably hot off the presses being sealed in packies to be sent wherever, but man, I really hope we don't, that really kind of stinks, right? I want to open these packs. I want to shut up and take my money, but also like please don't give me a bunch of stuff I already have, like literally identical.
Yeah, that's my problem. Is like we already have too many cards of the cards that we can't play because they're not playable. Now most of those are going to get rotated out and aren't going to be available. And then the ones that are going to be reprinted, we've already got too many of, and now we're going to get even more of them. Like, I am definitely less inclined to buy as much as we have historically, just because I don't want more of the same cards we already have. And now that I know that it's eventually going to be rotated out anyway, I don't know that I'm going to go for 2 full play sets of everything like we have in the past. Because that's what
So,
we've
yeah.
normally done. Even
So
if it's
half-
not a playable card.
Half of all cards. Oof, man.
There's another thing to consider here too, is that like if they reprint a card over and over again, like they reprint Tinkerbell, right? We know they're doing that, and Rockstar Stitch. Then that's Fabled. Then 3 more sets come out, and then another set comes, and we drop off the last 4. Are they reprinting 1 through 4 again, or like can one does that mean now 1 through 8 are eligible to be reprinted? Is Fabled 2 essentially the second like rotating set going to have 1st through 4th chapter and 5th through 8th chapter in it? Because then we could get into this thing where like if Tinkerbell is reprinted like 10 times, well, now you're kind of like pot committed, right? You can't not reprint Tinkerbell again. Like,
for the record, too, I just pulled up the stream from today since they can do VODs now, which is really exciting for the people who weren't able to make it today. Stitch is 3 out of 204. So he's the 3rd card in the set. He's not above 204. He's just a regular card in the set with the 3rd card, number 3.
Nice.
Yeah, I think my disappointment here again just goes back to the fact I'd be more inclined to rebuy these cards if they were alt art cards.
Yep.
The fact that they are
Town fan
the
just said that.
exact same.
It's entirely different.
I do like. I agree with you. I would be more inclined as well. The alternative is though that the art on the Rockstar Stitch and the Winnie the Pooh are so good already we already, like you said, we already have that art in our binders and in our
But
decks.
it wouldn't
So,
be bad because I want to buy and I need to buy the new Fabled set because it's going to have cards that I don't have in it, but it's also going to have those cards that I already have in it. And I'm going to be far less upset when I open it up and I see a Rockstar Stitch and it looks different than the one I already have than if it looks exactly the same with a different number at the bottom.
How about
because that's what peeves me.
How about like a middle ground? Like, I mean, we see the Piglet and the Piglet from the Ursula's Quest. The only difference is like that little bit of like swirl on the edges or whatever. How about make the Fabled ones have like, you know, like a gold outline somewhere or something? Like they just look different to represent that they're a reprint, they're from Fabled, they're new. The fact that it is just like straight up exactly the same with the number 9 is...
Regarding the more than half comment, Googly did comment on that Reddit thread that Jimmy linked saying that more than half, quote unquote, including the duplicate copies in iconic and enchanted slots before anyone gets overexcited. So it could mean that like the epic cards, because we already know one of them is Elsa, right? That like it's more than half part is like, but still it's.
But wait.
Actually, now that
Now that you mention that, are you trying to? Are we? I just want to make sure. I'm not trying to say. Are you trying to say this? But does that mean that like that Elsa card, the tap to exert Elsa, right? That's like a common in set 1.
Uncommon, yeah.
Uncommon. So if it's reprinted, but it's only reprinted as a epic card. That can't possibly be the case, right? Epic, enchanted, and iconic cards also have to have a normal version of them, or else those cards basically are impossibly hard to play. Like imagine that Mickey Mouse as an iconic is only made as an iconic, and it's like a super broken card. Like cost you $1,000 to play it in your deck.
Here's what he's saying, and I think I understand it now. Like since we know the Elsa is an epic card, then that means it's probably a regular card too. So therefore, more than half of the set is like if they're putting all of those reprints as the epics, which there's 18 of them. So there's already 36 cards of the set, which is not more than half of the set. But but I feel like it adds up to that degree as well as part of the. I don't know. I'm just
the math. I don't think the math
didn't plan on talking
that,
about
right?
this one.
The math doesn't matter necessarily. Like we're talking about potentially like 20 cards out of 200. Like even if the difference is like maybe it's not 50-50, maybe it's like 60-40 new cards to old cards or whatever. It's still like I understand why it has to be there, but it still hurts every time I'm going to open up a card that is exactly the same as the other one. Corporate wants you to find the difference between these two pictures.
And what really bugs me about it is that Lorcana has been one of the games that the artwork has just been stellar on, and they've put the artist front and center on at all times, and then to be like, yeah, we're just going to reuse the exact same art from the first chapter. Honestly, like no joke, it feels a little cheap to me. It's like I buy a lot of packs. Can you pay some artists to like, remake it again?
Aretha and Hanzo, so I think we'll have 300 cards. I think unless they're fooling us with the numbers, right? We saw on the cards, as we were just talking about here, that Stitch is number 3 out of 204, and the Iconics are 242 out of 204. So seems like the base set will still be 204 plus Epics, Enchanteds, and Iconics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know.
we'll keep updating this as we know more, but let's get back to talking about some of these Reign of Jafar cards.
Yeah, we've only got 10 minutes. We gotta burn.
Yeah,
through
we gotta
these.
burn
Alright,
through
can
them.
we
Is there
plug?
any that
Mine
we really want to talk about? Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a buy a box promo for Minnie Mouse, Daring Defender. She's a bodyguard 08 for every 1 damage on her, or she gets 1 strength for every 1 damage on her. You'll get that when you buy a box. It has the original promo art on it, or promo logo on it, in contrast to the new promo art for the organized play.
Interesting.
Lady is a 1-cost inkable 03. We got a 1-cost uninkable this set in Arcasia's Island, but whenever you play a character, this character gets +1 strength this turn, and when she has +3 or 3 strength or higher, she quests for 2 more. So she could be a
And-
3-cost. And Jock is in the background. Yeah, if that's what
Zoom
you're
in.
alluding to.
Mega
Is-
zoom in.
Yeah.
Is
But,
Jock.
Is there any other cards anybody wants to talk about?
I like the
he's
Abu
actually
elephant.
zooming
Top
in.
up my bingo slot. Thank you.
Your what?
Oh, a boo elephant.
Yeah.
I don't have that
Oh,
one queued
I
up.
made a bingo card for the Reign of Jafar, and one of
Well,
mine was
we-
Abu elephant.
We don't unfortunately have that card up.
And
So-
Jimmy points out in the chat, this lady is insane for turn of dogs because she could quest for 3 on turn 2. The first one, it requires you to have Tramp in play for her to quest for 2, but she comes out as a 1-quester, can quest for 3 on the next turn if you have 2 other characters
She's
in play.
inkable.
So it's just, and she's inkable. Very, very cool card. I don't know what her rarity is in the actual game because we're looking at the promo,
Yeah, you'll
the
get
OP
plenty of
kit
them.
promo right now. Yeah,
Plenty
there's
of
going to be
material,
plenty.
GS. I do want to talk
Yep.
about the patch. Also
Go for
another
it.
promo.
Oh yeah.
Arguably the better 1-drop here. It is
Sure.
uninkable, but patch Playful Pup 02 Ward. It's a Storyborn puppy. Puppy barking while you have another puppy character in play. This character gets +1 lore. This is, I think, the puppy that they needed. This is definitely a really strong, lore threat to play this, and then to immediately play another puppy, your 2/3, and then to be able to follow up the following turn with the pepper that puts them to the inkwell. Now you're questing even more freely, or even turn 3 shift your puppy. I don't know, puppy.
Thunderbolt and then keep
Mhm.
Patch alive.
Mhm.
Oof.
It's still an
That's-
aggro
Wolf
strategy.
is right.
Don't
Yeah.
know if that's
Wolf
going to
is
necessarily
right.
work out, but it is nice. Ward
You're
helps
welcome.
protect
Well-
for puppy shift opportunities. Agreed. Yep. Oh, you can quest while you have another puppy. So turn 2, you quest him for 3. Brad taught me this one. I mean, not necessarily, but Brad would
did.
quest
I
with the
did.
Jafar, the 2 lore Jafar in his Jaflurple deck.
Thank
And
you.
then shift on the big Jafar so that it's still exerted, but you got the 2 lore from the better Jafar, the
Right.
4-cost one.
The-
So
Yep.
smart move. So you can quest with this
Yep.
patch, get 2 lore, then throw Thunderbolt on top.
That's pretty cool.
Wait, he quests for 2 anyway.
Some other quick news before we get into Villain of the Week, because yes, we are doing Villain of the Week.
It's gonna be a
set,
quick one though.
are?
set 10, Whispers in the Well is the title of that. It'll be Q4 of 2025, and we have 2 new properties. One which was announced at D23, the Black Cauldron, and we're
Yes,
getting
sir.
gargoyles.
Insane. The first person who ever we all thought of was our local Chip. He always has a gargoyle shirt on. He gives you the entire lore of the gargoyles show and toys and everything. He is the gargoyles. He went to a comic convention, I think up in Minnesota or somewhere earlier or last year, strictly to educate people who are interested in the history of gargoyles. Like there was a whole panel that he was invited to be on. It's so
That's
awesome. As soon as that was announced, I was like, yeah, Chip is going to have a field day with this.
I don't know if we did say, but Bambi is coming in Reign of Jafar, so I don't think we
I got a Bambi
talked about
button.
that. So a bunch of new cards coming across screen,
Legendary band.
and some pretty cool cards. There's some more cards were announced, I think by CNET. today as well. So go check that out.
Website, yeah.
You guys want to make a real
Um,
bet real quick?
We don't have time. We
oh
gotta
my
keep going.
Oh my god, we have time. Go for it, Brad.
We have time.
Will the horned king of the black the black cauldron have a rule of villainy on it?
No.
No.
How about
Oh.
this? If
I'm gonna say yes.
Jafar has a rule of villainy,
He
then
does.
yes. You say he does, but we've seen one of the big Jafars. Might not be the biggest Jafar, but if Jafar doesn't have one, then my hope for future rules of villainy, not like the future of us, but the future of that flavor text is
Maybe us.
I don't want to say what I can't. It hurts too much, but Jafar needs a rule of villainy, or else we grab sword.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
And then right before they ended the stream, we got an announcement about a new property coming. Well, actually, there was a bunch of news about new property because what I totally forgot about is a Goofy movie is coming.
Powerline.
Yeah. How do we
Lorcana.
skip over
I
that?
can't
Oh my
believe
god.
we skipped over that. And we're getting Darkwing Duck next year in 2026.
I do have to
Exciting
say
stuff.
I
that
thought you were gonna
it-
come back dressed as Darkwing Duck.
Yeah, I did
Oh
too.
no, I
thought
was
he
shutting
like
my
a-
door for the villain of the
costume.
week.
For the villain of the week, you don't want to
Actually, no, I'm gonna do it.
Oh,
No.
I don't know what the villain of the week is. It's a surprise
All
for me
right.
as well.
Let's get into it. Let's get into villain of the week.
Is it me?
Yeah, of course. You close your door.
Apologies. Yeah. Well, I was gonna shout it anyway, but apologies to Gantu. Our villain of the
hail.
week is Maui's Fishhook. Set 3 into the Inklands. 3 cost inkable in Ruby and item. First ability is it's Maui time. If you have a character named Maui in play, you may use this item's shapeshift ability for free. And the shapeshift ability is to exert, spend 2 ink and choose 1. Chosen character gains evasive until the start of your turn, or chosen character gets +3 strength this turn. Art by Peter Brockhammer. And why is Maui's Fishhook villain of the week, Vince?
Well, first I'll just say, while we were casting on Sunday, Andy would turn to me and be like, I think somebody played Fishhook because I just heard Brad scream, it's Maui time.
Yeah, I heard several Brad screms of it's Maui time.
I got it from you. You started doing it one night at
It's
Bodex, and I'm like,
Maui
that's
time.
hilarious.
But yeah, I've seen this card both at One for All Games during that live stream, seeing it this weekend multiple times. This card has come in clutch in especially like Ruby Amethyst decks and Ruby Sapphire decks as just a really clutch card to be able to put evasive on your characters, to protect your characters, to get, one shot things like McDuck Manors, or more effectively take care of other characters on the board. This item is like, looks so simple, but is so sinisterly dangerous, especially in a deck like Ruby Sapphire, where you both run Maui Hero to All and Maui Half Shark. You can play it, and then you can just use this card for another character on board, because as long as you have Maui in play, you don't have to use Maui's Fishhook on Maui. You can use it on another card as long as Maui's in play.
Okay, hold on.
You
I
can
missed
for
this.
free if he's on play. You can always use it.
Yeah,
but it's
for free.
amount. Yeah.
Bambi's a boy.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
I didn't realize.
I feel
that
like a lot of
either.
people don't know that. Yeah.
He literally meets a lady deer in the movie.
I don't know.
I don't think Andy has seen that movie in probably years.
I've seen
if
the
ever.
movie. It's like old though. It's one of the old
Anyway.
ones.
I saw
That's
we
good.
did it for Disney Date Night a while back. He's very definitely a boy. I saw a comment in the Twitch stream today that somebody said, "I can't wait for Bambi to be in the game so I can fire the cannons at
Bambi's
or Bambi's mom." Yeah, I
So I
was
could
like,
play
"Oh my
Fire the
god!"
Cannons on
That's
Bambi.
Yeah.
so rude.
Damn, that is
Come on.
that's
It was
terrible
morbid.
interactions. Gonna make
no,
me cry.
Wow, Fishhook though, it
Yeah,
is
wait until
insane.
we get
It's
up in the movie in the card game. There's gonna be all
Oh,
kinds
no.
of tears.
Oh yeah, for sure. But yeah, this fish hook, it slots in. We had that evasive ruby amethyst for a while. That was a problem, and people were starting to slot this in to deal with those evasive threats that just sat there for a while. It helps take care of the Yagos, and if you don't have an action or you have to challenge into it. But it's a really good tool that I think most people who run it only run one or two of to get it out on the board and effectively use it. It's thematic too. I saw Travis pointed this out one time. It's his favorite card, one of his favorite cards, where it was funny how it gives Maui just enough strength, or a little bit more than enough strength, to take out Tamatoa when Ruby Amethyst Tamatoa Dime was the big deck. Just thematic from the movie. Tamatoa has the hook, Maui gets it back, and then defeats Tamatoa, and it just like that in Lorcana. I never put the pieces together and really appreciated like seeing, realizing that. But yeah, the manor's a problem, the big body Tamatoa and everything. And more importantly right now, the evasive answer and the evasive protection that Vince alluded to makes this card really, really good.
Yes.
Yeah. Anything you want to add?
Lots of evasives in the meta. This answers them. Locations answers them. And there's plenty of Mauis. Plenty of good Mauis to play. We got Maui Half Shark. We got Maui Hero to All. We got Maui Whale. Don't sleep on it. Don't sleep on it.
Nope.
Nope.
Sleep on it.
All of them make this card free to exert.
Jank.
Exactly.
You got the Maui Owl.
Jank.
Mowl. We've got Mowl.
Mowl. Yep. The Mowl.
Yeah, it's just kind of a no-brainer card. I think its one downside is it 3 cost does make it a little clunky to set up sometimes. You got to find that turn. But really, I think it's a great card.
The beauty of it is inkable, right?
Yes, inkable is very, very nice. And in Ruby Sapphire, it's an item, so it can be recurred with something like Tamatoa if it gets discarded out of your hand or something like that by one of the main evasive decks, which is the Oops All Diablos. But yeah,
and you know what? It's you can when Hiram enters play, you can discard it and get. Oh, I'm sorry, you can't.
Oh, wait.
Lol. All right. Well, we're over our time here. We told them that we
We're
wouldn't
over.
keep them
Well, no,
2
Kirsten.
hours.
Do you have any other last thoughts?
Nope.
All right, Brad, you want to go through our artist showcase?
Real quick, Peter has 8 cards in the game. The most important one being Scar, Tempestuous. I can't say words tonight. Sorry, guys. Lion, the really cool amethyst one. 2 Reyes, the fish hook, the dinner bell, Aladdin, Street Rat from set 1, the sardine can, and Grab Your Sword. No enchanteds yet, but there is still time and plenty of sets for that to happen. So, awesome work, Peter. Thank you.
Enchanted Grab Sword.
All right. Well,
Print.
you let us know your thoughts about the villains of the week. We hope you've enjoyed this live stream. If not, you can honestly catch us later, as this will be live on YouTube right after, and we'll be posting this on Spotify and all the audio places. So if you're joining us on audio, thank you. Please review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.
And if you want more Lorcana content, just hop on over to the link Brad just put in the chat. Go check out the Illumineers. They are also doing what I'm assuming we are just doing now and ending, where they talk about the news, but they are going to be doing it a little bit later than us. So join them, say hi, tell them we sent you.
Lots of other creators there with them too. Lorcana Villain, JDZ, Katie from Lore Keepers Inn, B Squared, and Lorcana Duo. Big party over there. Go check this out. Check that out. I can't talk. I'm glad we're done.
All right, Brad, we're done. It's fine.
You guys are already here on YouTube, but definitely give us a like and the subscribe and ring the bell, because we're going to do plenty more of this for you guys to enjoy.
Yep. Oh, sorry. Yeah, we understand your time is valuable, so we appreciate you spending a little bit of it with us. If you would like to follow along as we plot our devious plans, consider following us on our socials. We're on Instagram, Blue Sky, and the platform formerly known as Twitter, @Rules of Villainy. We also have a growing community on our Discord, which you can join with the link below.
You'd think you would have just joined this podcast last week. It's all good. But until next week, stay safe, fellow villains. Be wary of wannabe heroes. I hear they're plotting a podcast within a podcast who want to disrupt your villainous plans. And as always, remember the rules of villainy.
Oh, this is where I hit end stream, right?